got a special guest on the program. This is, I don't get into much of the gadgetry like Sheila does, but this is one of those items that showed up on our doorstep one day. And we're talking to the inventor of and the distributor of the Aroma Dome, Julie Chertow. Is that right?
Chertow. Yeah, very good.
He usually gets it wrong. So
And I'm so excited to talk to you because I'm not kidding you. Our dog, we've got a little dog, Brisket, the world famous therapy dog.
she is.
And
Wow.
she wakes me up every morning at about 4 o'clock, between 4 and 5 o'clock. And I'm not ready to get up yet, but she is.
Wow.
So I will get up and I will let her outside to do her business and throw a little dog chow at her. And then I'll head to the Aroma Dome and fire that bad boy up.
All
And
right.
I'll catch another hour or so of snooze time in there. And
And if you
Great.
sleep on the chair or on the couch, she'll bug him. But she won't bug him when
I'm in
he's
there.
in the Aroma Dome.
no, she knows better.
She doesn't try to get in?
No.
She's
Because dogs love it. Yeah.
lately, she will come up and kind of sniff around and all that. And then I just kind of flail my arms around out from underneath, and it scares her, I think, as she runs
Well,
away.
be good
But-
for her too.
So for people who aren't knowing what we're talking about,
Right.
let's just let Julie explain to us what an Aroma Dome is.
All right. Well, this is the color that I have left now. This is the beautiful Aroma Dome.
And it's a blue color.
This is like a seafoam green, and the other color I don't have any more right now, but my next order, this is periwinkle.
Okay.
It's sort of a purplish blue.
Okay,
And
so
I'm looking
people
into
who
a
are
third
listening
color.
on the radio program, you can go to our website. You can check out KeithandSheilaHittner.com or go to ourhealthyhomes.com, and I'll have the video of this broadcast posted.
Oh, great. Okay. It's kind of big to pop open.
Mhm.
But
But
you can
it's
see a
essentially-
copy
yeah.
like, yeah, you guys can see it. We'll post some pictures or whatever. But anyway, so this is it. And it's really not about the dome. The dome is what needed to happen to be able to utilize our amazing oils via inhalation diffusing.
Okay.
And there is a vast, huge, ginormous difference from putting your diffuser in your living room or your bedroom or going in the Aroma Dome in a contained environment. And I stumbled upon this. Like I wasn't like, it was an intuitive feeling. I've been a body worker for 36 years, and I kept finding myself holding beach towels over people, getting the Mylar blanket and trying to do this whole crazy setup because I had an inclination to contain the oils. There was something about that. And I'm not a scientist or researcher, and I just didn't know what that was. And I was actually originally inspired by Gary Young at a training he did, like, gosh, it had to have been 20 years ago. And he was talking about this man who, a patient of his, who had a very rare form of cancer. And he found a way to make some makeshift dome. And it really was highly supportive for what he was trying to help him with. And it really catapulted him into wellness. And I was very inspired by that, but nobody was talking about it or teaching, or there was nowhere to read about it or anything. I think it was just an intuitive thing for Gary with that one patient. That was that.
Sure.
So anyways, I kept doing this and seeing consistent, potent, all from A to Z, people transforming and shifting in ways I had never seen, just putting the oils topically on people.
Okay.
Okay, so that's there's so much to say about all this, but we can keep going.
Yeah,
And
let's keep going because I mean the whole, I love hearing your story because where you are now with it is so connected to where it came from, and for people to really appreciate the effectiveness of it, they need to understand the genesis of it. Where did it come from? How did you think about it? What results have you seen in your own practice? You said you're a body worker. What's that mean?
A massage therapist,
Okay. Okay. So
but it's, I'm trained, it's much more than like a rubby-dubby massage. It's very, and especially when you include the oils in the sessions, it's incredible what can happen.
right.
And
So
so then in the middle, like I designed this, that has no bottom on it, so that when it's popped open and you have an acupuncturist as a client, or you have a massage you're giving, or in the middle of a facial or anything, and the patient says, or in the hospital or whatever, this is going on, I've got allergies or whatever, can you help me? And this can just pop over. Nobody has to get up and crawl in it. That's why I designed it with no bottom. So you can just put it over spontaneously, easily, quickly. It's a pop-up, and it's the perfect. I mean, I covered everything I could think of in this little contraption here. And also I don't want to forget this, because it's one of the best things that I had heard in a long time. So Gary was teaching in Canada before he passed, and I was not there, but my friend was. And you might know him, Tom Wolshin. I think
Yeah.
you guys know. So he was there, and Gary was teaching how that when we put oils on topically or in our food, or maybe in the bath, there's so many ways to use it.
Mhm.
It always has to go through digestion and our liver first before it can go to what we are using the oil for.
okay.
So that's a lot of journeying before it starts working toward your issue.
Right.
And so somebody raised their hand and said, well, is there any way to use these oils that doesn't have to go first through the liver and the digestion? And Gary Young said, yes, Aroma Dome. Well, I was dancing on the ceiling for at least a month after that.
Yeah, right.
Because we all think we only have like receptors right here. They have done research more research in the last 2-3 years with the oils. And they found that we have receptors on our organs and on our skin. It's not just hair anymore.
Just not in that
Well,
tray, in that. No.
There's a lot going on there. But when you're in the dome, or our skin and our organs, the oils, it's the biggest detoxifying organ we have is our skin.
Mhm.
And the oil molecules are entering through that avenue also. So it's amazing. I mean, this is endless discovery, I got to tell you.
Okay. So when you're in the Aroma Dome, for example, like I'm in there and I've got my shirt on, are you telling me that I should probably take my shirt off?
It would be absolutely fine for you to do that. Now, you don't have to.
Okay.
It's still working. It's still going in, but that's a great, valid question.
Mm-hmm.
I say, try it. I think that would be an amazing experiment. Like go in naked one time. Just don't scare your dog. And what are you doing? That would be funny. You have to film that.
Try warn him when
Anyway,
to the house.
and so try it both ways and see what happens for you. See, do you feel a difference? And do it the same oil in the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And check it out and just do a home experiment. I feel a difference. I've done it.
So you just mentioned and the oil. Is there like certain oils that you shouldn't use in there, or it doesn't matter? There's
Well,
right or
okay, for
wrong way to
example,
use
the hot oils like oregano and cinnamon and these is absolutely fine. It's one of the best. And the hot oils, lemongrass is okay, but I have a friend that goes in for 15 minutes with oregano. I'm like, are you kidding me? I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's so strong. But she could lay there. She said, I never tell people to lay in there for an hour. So we need to correct that with you, because these oils are really powerful. And especially when they're contained, that's a vast difference of putting a drop on or two and then putting it on and that's it. Then when you're laying in the dome and you're doing deep breathing, is miles away as far as potency and what's happening for you. So it's a vast difference, and you want to make sure to watch my videos, my instructional videos, and you learn how to use this correctly, because you don't want to be thrown into a massive detox unless you do, but I wouldn't want to. So it's better to go, you know, at the beginning, slow, test it out, see what works for you, see what, and also here's the other thing. We all have different receptors. Receptors are at the end of every nerve in our body. And if you've ever seen an acupuncture chart or at a doctor's office, you'll see the nervous system with millions and millions of nerves. Well, at the nerve ending of each and every vein and artery is a receptor. And that's where chemicals come in. It gets all gunked up. It's where the oils enter. It's a very potent happening in our bodies. And so we all have different receptors. And when the molecules are a correct match for your molecules, it's going to be completely different for Sheila's molecules than yours. And at the beginning, you got to do a little trial and error. And Gary always taught us, if an oil doesn't work in 60 seconds, go to the next. Like if you're not having any shift or change or noticing anything, then try another oil that's for that same situation. Because when it's a match to your receptors, it goes to town and you feel it, and write it down in a notebook so you remember that is your match for you.
Right.
Okay, so that's really good to know.
I want to talk about how you know what oil to use and how to introduce yourself to that oil when we come back. We got to go out and pay some bills right now. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey, welcome back to the program. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes. OurHealthyHomes.com is the website to go to. We're broadcasting live from the legendary Rack Shack Barbecue Studio. RackShackToGo.com. Order it up. Have the food. You can pick it up at the restaurant or have it delivered right out to your house. Rack Shack Barbecue. It's the right thing to do. Okay, so we're talking about the Aroma Dome. We're talking with Julie, who is the inventor of the Aroma Dome, and we kind of went through last segment a little bit about how she came up with the idea and introduced to it. And when we went out to break, we were talking about using an oil and how when you use an oil, you should know within a few seconds of whether or not that oil is doing the job for you. And I don't know how to understand that. Well, I don't know what that means, whether it's doing the job for you. I mean, are you supposed to?
Yeah, you'll just feel it.
Say you're
You'll feel
down,
it.
right? Let's say you're a little sad today, right? And you use an oil and it should uplift you, right? So if you use lemon, right, and you're not feeling uplifted, you know, maybe you want joy, you know, maybe, you know, you need something else to bring for it, Julie, to work with the body and the chemistry of your body to be able to bring you to that state.
Yes, perfect. That's really good. And also too, like, let's say you both are using the joy oil and, you know, to uplift and open your heart. And let's say you feel it like right away. I mean, you feel this open, you feel happy, you feel lighter. And then Sheila's crying. She starts crying. Like,
I don't like
vastly different. Well, the oils are working for both of you equally, but she's clearing something possibly that's been blocking her to the path of joy. So it's all perfect that the tears are coming because it's going to lead her to the next step. But you necessarily maybe didn't have whatever traumas she, I mean, I don't know, I'm saying hypothetically as an example.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that works. And like what Gary taught us, if an oil doesn't work after 60 seconds and you don't feel any shift at all, whatever, like let's say you're using a respiratory oil, but your sinuses don't open. It's not a match for your receptors. Go to the next one. And in the book that we have, Essential Oils Desk Reference Guide, specific to Young Living Oils, that's when you look in that book and it has like 20 different oils. You're like, well, which one should I use? All the compounds in those oils are effective and have been tested for that situation. So it's not haphazard. Those molecules and the compounds do what they say they do.
And that
But
was
again,
one of the hardest things for me to understand or get my head around is that, if I have whatever the issue is that I'm trying to
mhm,
get rid of or enhance or whatever, and I look at these oils and there's 20 different oils, it's like, well, pick one. And I didn't get it that this one might work and this one may not work. And this one may work today, but not tomorrow. And so
right.
that's the that's the joy of it too. That's the beauty of it. It's the exploration of these natural products that God put on earth
Mm-hmm.
that are
Yes,
meant
I
for
love that.
to
Yes,
embrace and use. Do they
yes.
have which one would you recommend for stupid? I've been trying to I've been trying to
Um,
get rid of stupid for my whole
Yeah.
life. Is
Three
there
wise men.
what is it?
Three wise
Three wise men.
Three
or
wise
common
men?
sense or brain power.
Okay.
There
Okay.
you go.
How about that?
Yep.
All right.
Well, I'm going to put that in the diffuser tomorrow morning when I'm in there. Here's the other thing that happens to me. I was on the wiggle machine, I call it. What is it called, Sheila?
Tea machine.
The chi
The
machine.
chi machine. So Sheila's like all cautioning me, you only should go on that for 2 minutes first, and I climb on the thing. I'm on it for an hour, fall
Oh,
asleep, right? Wake up an hour later, get up, feel great, no issues at all one way or the other. And now you're telling me with this device that I should be in there for, just a few minutes to start. I'm sleeping in there for 2 hours in the morning.
Well, you don't have it full blown either.
No, but it's
No.
It's on off. It
Right,
turns
it's
itself on and
On
off.
off. You get to set it, right, for your on off.
yes.
Mhm.
And I recommend, and you'll see in the book and on the website and in the videos, a normal session that's safe and effective is for 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off. I'm talking about the timer setting
Uh-huh.
for 3 rounds.
Three
So
rounds.
that's 15 minutes of diffusing, and you get a 5-minute break in between each round.
Right.
And when it shuts off automatically for that 5 minutes, the dome is filled with the oil molecules.
Right.
So I always, whoever I'm working on or with in the dome, I never let them fall asleep, because it's kind of like when we fall asleep, we breathe more shallow.
Uh-huh.
So like it's not it is kind of, it's not a full waste, but it's just better when we participate in our healing,
Okay.
whatever or in that transformation.
That's good
And
information.
you're concentrating on your breathing while you're in there, right?
And there's different breaths to do for different situations.
Let's talk about that because funny you mentioned that, because I noticed that I fall asleep and I'll
Mhm.
wake up and I'm breathing very shallowly, and then I'll take a big deep breath, when I wake up.
Right.
And so talk about
Yes.
different kinds of breathing that you're supposed to do then.
Well, so when I have a client, and I do a quick little consultation and find out what's going on with them, I'll just say, what would you like to focus on today? That keeps me compliant, and it's a great thing to say. I don't let people get into a whole long half-hour story. Just give me the bullet points. And then because I have so much experience, I know which oils I'm going to use. And if I need to, I look stuff up all the time to
Okay.
make sure I get it right.
All right.
And I pull those oils out. Now, anything with memory, the brain, upper respiratory, pineal gland, and kind of people with dementia, any Parkinson's, memory loss, sleep, all of that is going to be through the nose.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the only time you utilize your breath through your mouth, and what you do is you purse your lips together and you breathe. So it's like, and you make that sound because what you're doing is suctioning the wind, the air, down into the lower lobes of the lungs. And so for any respiratory conditions like sleep apnea or bronchitis or pneumonia or lung cancer, anything like that, you got to be breathing through the mouth. And it's so much more effective that way. So, and also, when we actually, I remember something we were taught about adding spruce, for example, to any respiratory oils actually helps to drive the oil molecules down into the lower lobes of the lungs, which is what we need for stuff like bronchitis and these sorts of things
Mm-hmm.
to support us in these healings and changes that we're looking for. So that's a really, make a note of that, everybody, because that's really important. And you'll feel the difference. Like you can't not feel that. Like it's really powerful. And it's just like, you don't have to do that, the mouth breathing for a whole solid 5 minutes, but you really do on that round to do as much as you can.
Because the more you do that, then the more benefits you're going to have, and certainly
Exactly.
those oils are going to
Yes.
get to your body. I just want to let the listeners know that I have, of course, the Aroma Dome we've been talking about, and I do have brochures and information. So just contact me on my website, and I can get one out to you.
That's awesome. That's really great.
So
And
when
so-
I'm in there for my 5-minute session, one of the settings on the Aroma Dome device itself, you have the timing. So you have the top or the bottom button there. You turn it on and then you can dial it up or dial it down.
Right.
What does that do? Is it intensity?
So
What is that?
I will use, okay, for the most part, I like to put it on full blast, but if I have a child or an infant or somebody who's really toxic, and you know, the oils are so powerful, and you don't want to overdo it. Because it's not going to hurt anybody, but it can be intense with a very out of the blue, all of a sudden detox because you laid in there for an hour with it going. And so like a new person is, the receptors are not there yet. You know, I don't even do that. I've been with Young Living for 26 years and I never do that. In fact, if you remember in your box that came in the diffuser box, I put an external timer, the same kind that you use to turn the lights on.
Yeah.
That's for you.
Okay.
Because or if you live alone or you're giving yourself sessions, because this diffuser doesn't have a 30-minute
time,
or like it doesn't shut off after
Right.
30 minutes
Right.
automatically. It'll keep going for 5 on, 5 off or whatever you have it set for. So anyways, yeah, so I will definitely turn that puppy down when, depending on what I have going on with each individual person.
Okay.
So
But normally
that's
for
really
a
important
healthy
to know.
adult who's been doing it, just turn it on full blast.
Well, and you've been exposed to oils for for 4 or 5 years now that
Yeah.
your body is
Right.
accustomed to the oils. So I would think that would, be better than somebody that's not had any experience with it yet.
Yes. You're really very wise, Sheila. You have a lot of wisdom with this world. And it's you have a deep understanding. Like it's so obvious. I love that.
You're sweet. Thank you.
So when we talk about layering of oils, right? And now
Yes.
you can layer with the Aroma Dome as well, just like you can layer putting them on topically. Is that right?
Oh,
Yes.
go
And
to
this is
break.
really important.
Let's just stop there because we're going to
Okay.
talk about that in the
That's a
next
good one.
break because we got to go out and pay some bills right now. This is Our Healthy Homes. OurHealthyHomes.com is the website. Join us. It's a movement. We're creating healthy homes across the country.
That's right.
One house at a time. We'll be right back after these messages. Hey, welcome back to the program. This is Our Healthy Homes, OurHealthyHomes.com. Broadcasting live from the legendary Rack Shack Barbecue Studio. We're talking to Julie Chertow, and she is the inventor of the Aroma Dome, my favorite device of all time.
No. Your favorite modality.
My favorite modality.
That's our favorite word is modality.
There you go.
Before we get caught up in what we were going to talk about,
All right.
do we want to ask Julie how people can get a hold of her?
How can people get a hold of you, and how can they buy one of these things?
Okay. Well, my website, my online store is www.aromadome.com.
Easy.
And you can see what I have on there. You can see the prices, and that's how you order. And yours truly is doing their own shipping now.
Yep. And if you want to try it out before you buy it, I'd love to have you at the mansion for a session.
I'll be right there.
Yeah.
Come to Minnesota. It's freezing.
Okay.
You know, I've never been given a session in all these years, like somebody giving me one. I've always done my own for myself. I've
course.
never, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
That's not funny.
Weird how that works out.
All right. So when we went out to break, I said I wanted to talk about layering
Yes.
and how that does. So when I'm laying in there, I notice that there's a little holder that's inside the tent that holds the bottle of oil.
Yes.
I always turn it so that the little
Mister
thing is pointing at me.
Yes.
There is room in there for 2 bottles. So is
Yeah.
there an adapter or a way that you can have both bottles shooting out at once, or do you, or would you just swap them out, or how?
You're a wild child.
Yeah,
How do you
you
do
got
that?
him right there for sure.
That's so funny. You're so entertaining. So, okay. So the pocket in the front,
Where the
Okay,
zipper
so-
is.
what's that?
The pocket in the front where the zipper is.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Where the zipper is. So that's at your waist.
Yep.
And then the one with the two, and this is called a boat pocket. I had never heard of that, but my designer who I was working with suggested it because like on a boat, it rocks.
Yeah,
And
right.
so they only sew the seam on the top, right? So if a dog or a child or anything happens and it's getting knocked into or knocked over, your oil bottle is safe in there and it won't come pouring out everywhere.
Right.
So that's why I went with that design for sure.
Okay.
And but anyway, so that's over the waist. Make sure you take that 6-inch flap of fabric that goes around 3 sides and tuck it under, because that seals the deal. Like you just want to
Okay.
have it sealed.
Oh, okay.
Now the 2 pockets that are hanging behind you, that's if you're giving yourself a session at 4:30 in the morning. And you know, when you do the layering, you do 3 rounds. You have the one oil diffusing in that front pocket, but behind you in that other pocket behind you, you don't have to get up and crawl out and go get your oils. You can just put them in those little
Sure.
pocket behind you.
There you go.
So you're not rolling on it or looking for it or have to crawl out and get it. And it's
So I'm
just-
going to have 3 wise men. 3 wise men. What was the other one that gets rid of stupid?
Brain power,
Brain power.
common
Is
sense.
that an oil?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
common sense is an oil as well.
Brain power and common.
yeah.
Those are the good ones. Those are the recommended ones from you ladies.
You do like your mind wise, and that's helpful.
Mine.
Yeah.
That's a juice.
No, but
though.
you're taking that's
okay.
a
Well,
supplement.
I want to
I'm
talk
just-
about
I
these
know,
oils.
I
now.
know.
So 3 wise men, brain power, and common sense.
I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever had 3 wise.
Anyone that's better? I got a lot of common sense. Anything that you would substitute from common sense?
Let me think about this for you.
I got a jar full of pennies.
There's so many oils. There's so many. For getting rid of stupid, embrace the stupid.
Yeah.
So acceptance.
Okay.
That's a good one, right?
Okay.
So
So
can I share a little bit about the layering? Because that's
yes,
really important.
that's what I want to get into then.
Oh, good. Okay. So layering is something that we all learned through Gary. And really, it only takes a few seconds when you put an oil topically on for it to get into your blood and cells. It's so fast because of the tiny molecular, structure of the compounds. They easily go beyond the blood-brain barrier. They easily come into our body quickly and effectively. And so it's something that we just have to open the bottle. It's like these oils have an unwavering mission. They have a purpose. They know exactly what to do. We don't have to have the whole understanding
Mhm.
scientifically for them to work. Thank God for that, right?
Not
Right.
really.
I mean, they have books out, essential oil chemistry made simple. It's never simple to me.
No, it's not simple.
It's a world, it's a universe. So layering, I'm going to give you an example of an emotional situation and then a physical situation on layering.
All right.
So let's say, starting with the physical, because then I also want to mention this too. I think this is in my book. When we have an issue, emotional, a trauma, something that's a big deal, coming up to be cleared, if you can't, get your effect and the shift emotionally, always start with the physical, because it will naturally, that is a much less,
Correcting.
or a faster and easier way to deal with whatever,
Mhm.
because we have so much protection around the hurts and the traumas.
Right.
So sometimes you have to just go a little slower and try other things at the beginning. And this is where the layering comes in. So I'm going to give you an example for the physical first. And let's say you have a cold,
Mhm.
and at first you're all stopped up, you come in for a session, whatever. I'm going to use an oil to first unblock your blockage in your sinuses, because I need you and I want you to be able to smell the oils then, because that's the
Right.
whole point, right?
Yes.
And then so that's something I would use first. Then I want to go in there and address if it's a bacteria, a virus, like that, and choose the appropriate oil for that next to eradicate and help to eradicate whatever that situation is. And then you want to, one way, there's many ways you can do this, but the third oil I would pick is something like ImmuPower, because then you come in and you want to boost the immune system so that you don't have a relapse, so that, and this is something that a lot of people need to really understand. When somebody coughs in your house or in a schoolroom, a classroom, or anywhere really, now, and if they have a bacteria or virus, yeah, there's a lot of that going on these days. But you got to address the airborne
Spray.
fungus, bacteria by diffusing the right oil.
Okay.
So like thieves oil, purification, those are the best. Okay. And so that's one example of layering. Now let's go to an emotional situation. Let's say that you're, going through a big trauma, even from the past, from a long time ago. It lives, it's imprinted into our amygdala. And it's very common when somebody's had a tragedy or a big trauma to build a wall of protection. You're not going to go from trauma to joy in 2 seconds. So you have to layer. And so that's a perfect example. I always use Trauma Life first under their tongue. And there's so many ways and things to look up about that. But
Mhm.
anyways, that's one, and I'll even put 2 drops under my client's tongue for the sublingual, going right to the brain. And then I'll diffuse it for 5 minutes, both. And it's because the buccal cavity, the inner cheeks, are the highest absorbent place in our body.
Mhm.
So that's why I choose that.
That's why they like
And
barbecue sauce so much.
and then the second oil I might choose often is maybe surrender or something like that, because like I said, it's very common for people to, build a wall, whether it's conscious or unconscious, of protection around them
Mhm.
when they've been hurt or abused or whatever has happened. And so that's just really, really important to address, because you're not going to get to that third step unless you clear this whole other thing out as well. Does that make
That's what
sense?
Yeah, and that's one thing that I learned early, well, not early on, later on, the whole emotional piece of it
Yes.
and how that can contribute to some soreness in an elbow or something like that. So
We are
it's
out of time.
fascinating.
I can't believe it.
I know it went fast.
Time went so fast today. We would love
Wow.
to have you back
Okay.
on, Julie, in a future program, and we will put the links to this show and to your website on the blog post when we post the video of the program.
Sugar in the afternoon. Sugar after dinner. Sugar in every room. He says I'm sweet as I can be. When he calls me that name, it does things to me. I tell him, honey, you can call me anytime you please. I tell him, honey, you can call me sugar anytime you please. Sugar.